How long can Russia actually stay the course with, the price of oil at $30? So they basically had a strategy of trying to squeeze a lot of the American shale producers, which had flooded the markets, as you rightly said, in recent years. But at some point, does Russia say, actually, I'll align myself with OPEC because I can't take this much pain?
Well, this is really the interesting question, Francine, are we in a game of chicken, if we are to use game theory parlance here, where Saudis cut OSPs and Russia's not maybe able to contend with a lower oil price? We would actually argue that Russia over the last 5 years has built fiscal buffers, has adapted, especially in light of U.S. sanctions that have been imposed on the country. So Russia is in a much better position to handle lower oil prices, and they've always conservatively budgeted in terms of their oil price assumptions. So I do not think that, a month or 2 or 3 or 4 is going to be impacting Russia's position right now. At the last OPEC Plus meeting on Friday, at best, Russia was prepared to discuss an extension of supply cuts, but was definitely not in any position to go beyond that and implement further supply reductions, as Saudi wanted it to do.
Okay, but so the oil price at 30 for 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, as you put it, does that actually mean that shale producers will go out of business? Will some of them go bust in the U.S.?
Well, the thing with U.S. shale supply, at the very core of the business model, is the fact that they have to systematically hedge. So in 2019, where oil prices were much higher, they were hedging 2020 production. And you have a fair amount of, in terms of the hedge ratios in U.S. shale supply, and therefore being relatively well hedged for 2020, we're not looking at a disastrous impact on U.S. shale oil production. Now, of course, some of the smaller producers who aren't hedged are going to feel the pain of $30 because that would be significantly below the break-even prices. But the U.S. shale oil industry being relatively, and I use that word with some conservatism, well hedged for 2020 is going to only be moderately affected. What happens is that hedging for 2021 is going to be compromised, because at these prices, why would producers hedge? So the growth risk on U.S. shale supply happens, in our view, in 2021, because they cannot hedge production at levels that are economically desirable for them.